So far, we've developed 4 areas in our seated meditation practice. We've developed the ability to be sensitive to the sensate quality of our body as it sits, and to use this sensate quality as a reference point from which to observe our attention move when our mind habitually wanders. We also learned the softening skill, how to retrain our breathing patterns, and how to soften, relax our relationship towards what we're experiencing now. We then added mindfulness of breathing. First, mindfulness of the breath as it comes in and out, focusing on that knowing quality, that which tells us what the breathing is doing. Last week, we took this a step further. We then joined the breaths as one breath and developed our attention on the full length of the breath, following it from the beginning to the middle to the end. If you've been practicing this for the last week, you'll start to see how it develops one-pointed attention. It will develop your concentration focused on one thing, just this in-breath, just this out-breath. As this concentration develops, your mind will start to settle down. You'll start to find that you wander off less. Maybe your body will start to feel more comfortable, more relaxed. You'll feel more content just being here. And if you don't feel that yet, don't worry, that's okay. Just gradual, patient process of practice. That's all you have to do. We're dealing with habitual aspects of our mind, old habits, deeply ingrained habits. If it's difficult now, it's only difficult because you're challenging those habits. You can't fight against these habits. You need to patiently retrain them. So doing these previous exercises that we've talked about, just gently again and again. Yep, you fall off the horse, you hop back on. That sort of attitude, just treat it like a game. But gradually you'll find some concentration will develop and the mind settles down. And as I was mentioning, your body will feel more comfortable. You'll experience less sensations in your body. Sounds may even sound far away. You're not getting drawn out to that sound. Thinking starts to settle down. It becomes easier to stay with each breath. This is a sign of that development, of that concentration, of a one-pointed concentration. As your senses start to shut down, this is the time for you to make a choice. You can continue to develop concentration, one-pointed on your breath. This is a valid path. And gradually your senses will continue to shut down until you won't experience them anymore. Your mind will become very tranquil, very peaceful. Or if you wish to develop insight, if you wish to develop knowledge about yourself, then you need at this stage to change the way that you perceive your breathing. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about changing the way that we're perceiving the breath in order to develop understanding about ourselves. So where do you develop understanding about yourself? Where will you find yourself? Where will you appear? Where? Just think about it. If you're going to find yourself, what was that, in habit? Yes, we can find ourselves in habit, but where would this habit appear? Where do we see it? Yes, in our senses. We see the habit arise within our six senses. We see it arise in every sight, in every sound, every smell, every taste, every touch with our body. We see it arise in every thought, every view, every opinion. We see ourselves arise within the field of our six senses. Now, if we develop or continue to develop our concentration one pointed in our breath, what's happening to those six senses? The answer is in what I was just saying before. What? They're starting to fade. That's right. You'll start to notice as you develop concentration, become one-pointed, that your ability to experience your six senses will start to fade. The mind settles, the experience of the body becomes more subtle, sounds become distant. Yeah. All that thinking, the commentary starts to settle down. And that's why we have a choice at this point. We can continue to develop concentration, one pointed on one thing, or we can decide at this stage what I'm going to do now that my mind is settled enough, now that awareness is clear, now that I have this clarity. Yeah. Now that my attention is collected, I can use this to develop understanding about myself. And where do we find ourselves? Within the six senses. Wonderful. So now we're going to start to bring an aspect into our MIDL mindfulness meditation practice, where we change the way we perceive the breath in order to allow the six senses to arise again. And this includes allowing the five hindrances to meditation to arise. Only now they're no longer hindrances, they're just characteristics of distraction. So the five characteristics of distraction are attraction and aversion. Yeah. They're restlessness, mental sluggishness, and doubt. And if observed in the right way, they're not a hindrance at all. They're a hindrance to the development of one-pointed concentration, but they're not a hindrance to the development of insight. They're not a hindrance to the development of the habitual mind, the habitual heart. Actually, they're the very characteristic, the expression of the habitual mind, of the habitual heart. So let's look at how we will change the way that we experience our breathing, change the way that we use breathing as a meditation object in order to allow these senses to arise again. So far, we started out our meditation practice by being aware of what it just feels like to sit here. Yeah, very simple. What does it feel like to be here in this room? You then created your posture of mind, brought mindfulness to the front of your mind, a posture of remembering. First remembering, this is what I'm doing now. I'm just sitting here and noticing whenever you forget it. As your mind settled down, then you then brought your awareness into your body. and started being aware of different sensations in your body: warmth, coolness, touch of your hands, your buttocks, your feet, and took a few slow softening breaths, relaxing into your body, becoming very present. This was the first foundation of your meditation practice. This is what we've been creating over the last few weeks. We then brought our awareness to the breath, the flow of the breath in our body. We paid attention to what our breath was doing on that aspect of knowing when the breath is coming in and focusing on that aspect of knowing when the breath is going out. Just like that. Wonderful. We then wanted to develop our concentration. We want to settle those hindrances of mind at this stage. Last week, we joined the breath as one. We pictured the in-breath and the out-breath as one breath, one continuous breath, and we applied our awareness to that breath from the beginning to the middle to the end. We rubbed our awareness along the length of that breath, and we paid particular attention to our effort, slightly adjusting our effort, not straining, not struggling, just gently adjusting that effort, allowing some concentration to build, allowing the mind and heart to calm. To make this transition from this point, so we can self-observe, we can do a particular training. And for this training, we'll still use mindfulness of breathing as an entry, but we're going to change the way we perceive the breath. Our aim is to learn to see how our body responds to breathing rather than the experience of the breath moving through it. If we start to observe, we'll notice that when the breath comes in, our body feels expanding outwards. And when our breath goes out, our body deflates, relaxing inwards. So it's kind of like this sort of feeling. And what you find with this is on the in-breath, the body moves out. And on the out-breath, the body moves in. And so this draws your awareness out towards the six senses when the breath comes in. And this brings your awareness into the heart center as the breath goes out. And this is different to when we're following the breath in and out. When the breath comes in, it draws awareness into the body. When the breath goes out, it draws awareness out into the world. And this is the point we normally wander off on that out breath. But when we change the way we perceive the breathing, on the out breath, awareness goes in. And on the in breath, awareness goes out. So it's very different. There's a simple exercise we discussed today that you can start doing over the next week, so you can start to change or train this perception of your breathing in this way. It's very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to pay attention towards different parts of the breath. Yeah? And your task is just to develop clarity of those parts. Now I'm going to mention different parts of the breath to you. But just because I mention that I can feel them doesn't mean you have to. Whatever is there is okay. You don't have to make anything happen. You're just seeing what is there. Gradually you find that the whole breath will open up to you. the experience of your whole body breathing. So let's start together. We'll do this as an exercise and I'll gently guide you through so you get a feel of what I mean by this. Okay, so you would start out your mindfulness of breathing just like we did in the previous weeks. We'll come up to this point, the breath is coming in and the breath is going out. So closing your eyes over, grounding your awareness in your body, just allowing yourself to relax. Becoming very present within your body. And just being aware of the movement of that breath in your body. Aware of the breath coming in and the breath going out. Now for this initial training, you'd bring awareness to the tip of your nose. And notice what sensations you can feel there. As the breath comes in, I can feel coolness just at the tip of my nose. So I start to focus in on that coolness, make it more clear. And as the breath goes out, I can feel warmth. Just focusing in on whatever sensations you can feel at the tip of your nose. You then follow the breath as it comes in through the tip of your nose inside your head. As the breath comes into my head, I can feel pressing there. The pressing appears as the breath comes in, and it disappears as the breath goes out. Notice how you're now aware of the breath from the tip of your nose to inside your head and back out again. Just gently relax any strain, any effort. You then follow the in-breath down into your upper chest. Noticing that as the breath comes in, your chest rises. And as the breath goes out, it falls. And then you start to notice you can feel that movement in your upper back. The upper back rises and falls with each breath. Can you feel your chest and your upper back expanding in opposite directions? And deflating back again as the breath goes out. Then you bring awareness to the side of your ribcage. And you notice that as the breath comes in, the side of your ribcage also expands outwards. And as the breath goes out, it deflates back again. Notice how your chest feels with each breath. And deflates with each out breath to relax. You then start to experience the breath moving down into your belly. Notice how the belly rises as the breath comes in, and it falls as the breath goes out. Maybe you can also feel that movement in your lower back. Next, you just align awareness with your whole body as it breathes. Just being aware of the expansion of your body as the breath comes in, and the relaxing deflation of your body as the breath goes out. Allowing this breath to calm you. Okay, you can open your eyes. So this is a simple exercise that you can do to develop that awareness of your whole body as it breathes. Just by simply paying attention to different aspects of your breath. From the beginning of the breath at the tip of your nose, then moving into your head, then upper chest, including upper back, side of the ribs, belly, lower back. As you develop this, it's also possible to feel the breathing down to the tip of your toes, the tip of the fingers, There's an experience throughout the whole body as it breathes. Now, a note of warning. You don't have to experience everything that I say. I'm just talking about possibilities. First thing to understand, this is as a mindfulness meditator, whatever you are experiencing is exactly what you are meant to experience. So don't go looking for a certain experience. No, don't do it. Don't go looking for a certain experience. But instead just tune into whatever there is there. Whatever is there is correct. And if there is nothing there, then there's nothing there. And that's also perfectly okay. As a mindfulness meditator, we are not trying to change or alter our experience. We're making peace with our experience. We're becoming friends with our experience. We're becoming intimate with our experience. But we're not trying to change it. The trying to change it is a relationship of aversion. We're not trying to cultivate aversion here. We're looking to bring an end towards attraction and aversion. To bring an end, the turmoil, the pain that comes from attraction and aversion. Don't you find it tiresome how your mind always wants and doesn't want? Aren't you tired of that now? Don't you want that to end? So be careful not to bring that aspect, the habitual aspect of your mind, into your mindfulness of breathing. Wonderful. Next week, we're going to take a look at how to develop our perception of the breath, of the whole body breathing. So we start it once again being aware of the length of the breath, as we did before, but the length of the movement of the breath as the whole body breathes. And this then allows us to open to the experience of our six senses. Wonderful. Thank you everyone for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves and have a wonderful week. Until next week, and goodbye.